This is Zach.
This is Matthew.
And this is Jamie.
And this is Beyond the Stands. On today's podcast, we have a special guest, Carson Sells. Carson, are you excited to be on the podcast?
I'm very excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Carson, I know you wasn't on the podcast last week, but what was your game of the week, the game you was most excited for?
My game of the week has to be, for sure, Dobbins, Bennett, and Elizabeth.
Not a bad game at all. Perfect game to pick, actually. Murray, what do you got to say about Dobbins, Bennett?
I did have them winning by 7. I will say that, but the score wasn't.
And they did win by 7. It was 28-21. Austin Skies had a really big game, and Dobbins Bennett offense had a really good game. And, of course, Murray, you can talk about their defense. You love their linebackers and their cowboy colors.
Yeah, I think with them not being super high on the points allowed, I think it's just because of the competition they face. You know, they have one of the toughest schedules, I'd say, in their conference, really, with everyone they have to play. I still think they execute very well, though, playing those teams.
They play great offense, almost ranking in the top 5 in points scored, ranking at 6 with 167, just 11 points behind North Green and Unicoi. But if you look at the competition between Unicoi, North Green, and Dobbins Bennett, it is a big difference. Dobbins Bennett against Elizabethton has won this game 55 times and only lost it 18 times. Jamie, what do you got to say about Dobbins Bennett?
Well, I thought Elizabethton was going to win this game. I thought their defense going to do good against their powerful rushing offense, but Dobbins Bennett proved me wrong.
Yeah, I mean, Elizabethton, of course, Slagle, Jay Bird. Slagle actually threw a 44-yard flea flicker to tie the game in the third quarter, 14-14. I mean, Elizabethton only had 45 yards in the first half, like Murray said. Dobbins Bennett's elite defense.
Yeah, that was also like very good offense versus very good defense. So that just shows how even more of a good defense they are.
Yeah, I feel like Elizabethton's definitely like a two-way team. Like Murray, you believe it was going to be an offensive shootout, if I remember.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be like a pretty high-scoring game. But I thought Dobbins Bennett defense would come up like kind of like clutch and with a lot of stops too, just because of how powerful their defense is, but also just took into account of how good Elizabethton's offense is.
I still believe it was a semi-high scoring game, just not what you expected, like a big, like 40 points apiece. Carson, what do you got to say about Dobbins Bennett and Elizabethton?
I think you look at the overall record between Dobbins Bennett and Elizabethton, you would kind of
expect
for Dobbins Bennett to just run away with it. But E-Town these last few years have just been playing really good with Dobbins Bennett. And, I wasn't really expecting a high offensive shootout like y'all were. Murray mentions that defense of theirs, and I just expected them to just, kind of slow down the game a little bit offensively. And, in the end, Dobbins Bennett ended up winning, obviously.
I believe last year, Elizabethton beat Dobbins Bennett. I may be wrong on that, but I believe Elizabethton beat Dobbins Bennett last year. Dobbins Bennett's guys went 12 for 18 passing, 136 yards and 50 yards on the ground and 2 touchdowns. And their running back, Bagley, rushed for 16 carries and 84 yards. But in the end, that game, kind of, me and Jamie both predicted Elizabethton, and Murray predicted Dobbins Bennett. Murray, just like Science Hill, loves Dobbins Bennett. The day Murray gets to see Dobbins Bennett Science Hill, he's going to be a very happy man. But on another game we could talk about from last week, Westridge Science Hill, the outcome was kind of expected, 44-7. Science Hill dominated Westridge and Trey Frazier. They was all over Trey Frazier all night. Murray, what do you guys say about Science Hill? You love Science Hill?
They're powerful in all corners of the ball. There's nothing they're really bad at. I would say having those many guys in the backfield as they do, like Ian, yes, Aiden Perry, Baylor, it's hard to lose.
Yeah, speaking of the backfield, Aiden Perry had 151 rushing yards in just the first half and 2 touchdowns. And then they put in Ann Mathis. He got 105 yards on 8 carries. That's great for Science Hill because most people think they're a passing team, but really they can run the ball like crazy. And Baylor didn't even need to come in and run their Wildcat at all. Science Hill had a few mishaps. John Gatora, he fumbled, but he made it up later with a 17-yard touchdown. But like I said, Carson, what do you got to say on it?
Trey had struggled this game because of Science Hill's D-line. It's kind of hard to get the ball out when you have all that pressure coming at you. And, you got necessary in the
Terrified to get hit by Necessary. I mean,
yeah
I wouldn't
just
want to take a hit from Necessary.
yeah absolute unit, and just he was just pressured the whole game. It's kind of hard to do stuff when you're pressured.
And then, I mean, I didn't watch the whole game, but I mean, the cornerback Stephen Famoy and Braden. I mean, there's a lot you gotta like. There's so much on that defense you gotta worry about too. And who knows? I mean, they may have Corey Lejeune. Whenever we went, he was an outside backer. I mean, that's nowhere you want to throw to. And I'm sure he could hit hard. So, Murray, do you got anything to say about Science Hill?
Um, like I said, I think they should be undefeated. I did have them beating Maryville last week, but I think they should be undefeated. And Maryville, they really should have won that game if it wasn't for a late penalty. So I'm just going to stand by, like, if Science Hill's going to win state, I think it's going to be this year. So
Yeah.
I expect nothing less of them for the rest of the.
Jamie, do you got anything to say about Science Hill's offense, the rush game? That I mean, a lot of people thought it was just a passing team, but their rush game popped out this game.
Well, it just shows that they can use their running game even if their passing game's not working. So they have the options to go run or pass. I just think you got to explore with your offensive weapons when you play a team like Westbridge.
Yeah, and I mean, when we went and watched William Blunt and Science Hill play, it looked like a lot of RPOs out of Science Hill, and I mean that's great for them with Aiden Perry and In Mathis and Baylor Necessary. I mean, it's just a rushing and a passing, just an offense you don't want to play, and I mean it's still a stifling defense. Another game we could talk about from last week was Happy Valley Hancock. We took this game 46-6. Carson, what do you got to say about it last week?
Not really much competition when it comes to Hancock County, but I'm just glad that we could go out there and play. I mean, with all this hurricane stuff going around, much teams
Bring a
not being
community together. Yeah.
yeah, teams not being able to play. And I think it was just good to play the game, whether it's a high competition or not. I'm just glad we got to go out there and play.
7 touchdowns for us as Lane Parker scored once, Tyler Berry scored twice, Tyler Bailey scored twice, and Artie Bond scored on the first play of the game on a kick return. And Gabe McDougal threw a passing touchdown to Ron Paul Parker, something we've not saw a lot this year, a passing touchdown from Gabe. And I scored a rushing touchdown. Number 64, the big guy, scored a rushing touchdown late in the game. Matthew also having a big game, a lot of tackles. Hancock in a rough year. Been a rough few years for Hancock. Murray, what do you got to say about the Hancock game?
I'll build off the really no competition that Carson brought up. It's
1A ball, 2A ball, and we're undefeated. They're winless. I mean,
it's kind of like, it reminds me of like when a college plays a small school. They just come make their record look nicer. That's honestly what I think of it as. So I'm glad we got our backups, a lot of playing time. They never really
that
get to
helps
play.
a lot.
Everybody wants a little bit of Friday night play time, so I'm glad they got to get in.
And everybody deserves a little bit. Jamie, what do you got to say about Friday night?
Well, the reason you scored was because I kind of went down.
I was just getting ready to mention that you went down at the 1, but
just to piggyback off of what y'all said, just like he said, to make our record look better. Hancock having a rough couple of years. I think they just started varsity football back a few years ago. So
and getting in our backups is big news, like Carson. Another game from last week. Volunteer and Davy Crockett. Davy Crockett coming out on top, 35-7. Lamarcus Dunn, I believe is his name, got another big game. All I know is Dunn. Dunn gets it done, is what they say on WJHL. So, do you guys say anything about Crockett now, Murray?
As you know, I'm not the biggest Crockett fan, but I just think Crockett is gonna have a fraud check soon. They've already had a fraud check early on in the season, beating South Korean and then I think losing to Cherokee. I think that just goes to show that Crockett's not a powerful team like everyone
I don't
thinks.
think this was Crockett. Like I said, their big win, obviously, Volunteer. They're in a really tough conference, and it's just tough for them to get their confidence up and play with teams such as like Davy Crockett. And Jamie, Carson, do you got anything to say about Davy Crockett?
Haven't really paid attention to David Crockett much this year, but like you mentioned, like not having a big win yet, and I just think as their schedule goes on, they gotta find a way to, I guess, get more comfortable winning. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
they still haven't had like a game that like they have expected to win, and I just think, regardless of what the schedule remains,
like a surprising game, like a surprising win. Yeah,
yeah.
I get that. my game of the week last week. Let's talk about Joko Pigeon Forge. Joko coming out on top 29-15. I know the play of the week was a juggling catch from a Joko wide receiver. Jay Stout having a big game. Juan Magia always having a good game. Murray, what do you got to say about Joko versus Pigeon Forge?
I think Joko is a great team this year, and I did have them beating Pigeon Forge. I think
I
If
did
can
too.
remember last week, I did have them winning. When you just have a backfield like them and as big as they had, like their secondary and defense, they're all athletic. Even the linemen, they're all just athletic. I remember.
I mean,
playing
one of
them-
the better linemen I've ever faced was Nate Dorman, their center. He's a great guy, and plus he's just a great football player. Jamie, is there anything you want to say from our scrimmage to like Joko now? Like, how do you? What improvements have you saw from that scrimmage? Like I said, to now in this season.
They
Like,
definitely surprised me because it was about 50-50 in the first half of the scrimmage, and then they kind of pulled away. But Johnson County's doing really good this year. I'm really happy for them. Tough couple years ago, but
a lot better of a defense I
Yeah.
expected. I mean, Carson, do you got anything to say about Joko? You know, from our scrimmage to now, and then even just Joko through the weeks, getting statement win after statement win and being undefeated right now.
Yeah, I think they've gained a lot of confidence as the week goes on. You know, they pick up a great win against Hampton, and then they just they always seem to find momentum, and like they're doing really good with the triple option this year, and they're kind of also starting to pass the ball a little more. I know they're starting to air it out a little bit more.
I know Jay Stout has an offer to Tusculum University, but yeah, I mean Joko winning over Pigeon Forge, that's a big win. A surprising game. We could say the surprising game of the week. South Green barely beating a winless Seymour. I mean, they barely escaped a Seymour that hasn't won a game. I mean, Seymour's played some good competition, but still, we was expecting South Green to win that game by a good margin, but winning it in like the final seconds, 18-17. Another good game for Nash Raider. Murray, what do you got to say about the Seymour South Green game?
I think it just goes to show what happens when you play somebody that is like just a bigger, more depth, and just
Like a higher A, like the higher classification.
Seymour might not be the best in their A, but when you go down and play somebody that's in the smaller A, it just goes to show what that competition's really like.
Yeah.
Almost beating South Green is crazy. South Green can play. I feel like can play in like another A.
Yeah, I feel like I could play in like 3A,
That just goes
4A,
to show
maybe
it's
4A.
a whole different ballgame. Just playing faster,
Yeah.
more physical than the guys.
You
below.
see that with a lot of 4A teams to 2A teams
But
like this.
I don't really have a lot to say on this game because I didn't really pay attention to it. I didn't really think of it going to be a game like that.
Yeah.
And South
Yeah, I
Green played
didn't.
Amazing.
I mean, we was looking at this game. Obviously, it's a conference game for us. So, I mean, we need this. We need South Green to lose as much as possible. But Carson, what do you got to say about South Green barely escaping?
I guess piggyback off what Murray said, Seymour being a higher A team, you expect it to. If you didn't look at it, if you just saw it on paper, you expect it to be close just from the division difference.
Yeah, the classification.
But, how we watched South Green play, I think they should have won by more. I think it should have been more of a comfortable win for South Green, especially before a big conference game coming up for them.
Yeah, maybe like it sets reality for them. Like they can't just mess around, And for the rest of the games, we could talk about North Green versus Eagleton. Eagleton winning 62 and North Green having 28 on them. I mean, not a surprising win. 1A school versus 2A school, and Eagleton just starting their varsity up not too long ago. But I mean, Eagleton's a high flying passing offense, and I just don't think the North Green defenders had an answer for it. The other game we talk about, Daniel Boone versus Cocke County. Daniel Boone still not getting their first win against Cocke County. Daniel Boone's still winless. I don't know if they'll win a game this year. And the last game we'll talk about before we go to our predictions, Gatlinburg Pittman versus Unicoi. Gatlinburg Pittman winning 34-18. Another big loss. Well, not another big loss, but a big loss for Unicoi as this was a big game that they needed to win. Gatlinburg Pittman's a really good football team, though. We could go on to our games, our predictions for this week as my game of the week. Happy Valley, South Carolina. I think it'll be everyone's in here's game of the week as this is a massive conference game. if we win this, there's a great chance. I think we secure a home playoff game with this win on Friday night. Carson, what do you got to say about South Green, Happy Valley?
I think whoever wins this, you can just about guarantee wins the conference. Honestly, just two powerhouse schools going at it. I'm very interested to see how we show up Friday against South Green. South Green looking to get back at us from last year.
Yeah, big overtime win. I mean, we're number one in points allowed. We've only allowed 31 points. And what I mean by number one is we've allowed the least amount of points, not we've allowed the most amount of points. Actually, South Green being number two, only allowing 40 points. Two powerhouse defenses here, and our offense being a offense that takes a ton of time off the board. And South Green's kind of being fly high. Murray, what do you got to say about South Green, Happy Valley?
I think South Green's a great football team with a lot of big kids, big athletic kids. I think that's always how they are, really. I mean, they've been like that forever. But
with a great running back in the back like Nash Rader.
I think Happy Valley's just on a roll right now, and I don't see really anyone that's going to beat us. We're just playing good football. But I don't want to speak too much on it because it's going to be a great game.
Yeah, it's just a great game. Don't want a lot of billboard material, you could say. Jamie, do you got to say anything about South Green Happy Valley? Are you excited for this game? I know I am. I know Murray is.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited for this game. I feel like it's going to be the same atmosphere as it was last year. Two powerhouse teams going at it, but our field this year. I am excited about this, but like Murray said, I don't want to talk too much about it. I don't want to get overconfident and everything like that. So
last year, we didn't even look like we had a chance to beat them. And we came in and won in overtime. I mean, this year it's who's going to win this game. They're both undefeated teams. Both undefeated in conference. South Green's lost to Crockett this year, and we're not losing any. We haven't lost anybody, but we've also had a lot of games canceled and postponed. So, and the earliest game of the week on Thursday, Science Hill playing Morristown East. Murray, what do you got to say about Science Hill?
Well, I think you already know what I'm going to say about Science Hill. I have Science Hill at least winning this, and I'm not joking about this. I have Science Hill coming out of this game with a 40-point deficit. I mean,
understandable.
There's just no reason. I mean, Science Hill is just
high-flying offense like we saw last week.
And even if they lost to Maryville, go look at that game, and you can just tell that they're meant to be there.
Yeah, I mean, that's like a statement game. Even though they lost, it's a statement game. I mean, Science Hill and Mo East isn't the greatest to play with Science Hill. No. Carson, what do you got to say about Science Hill against Mo East?
I think this is my shocker pick. I'm going to go Mo East on this one.
That's a crazy pick.
I'm looking for a project from Science Hill. I've heard so many good things, but I'm just looking for them to mess up. And, yeah.
Surprisingly, with Science Hill's offense, ranking 7th in top 10 points scored, being right behind Dobbins Bennett and right in front of South Green. I was expected to be higher up, but you got to look at the competition. And this is through like Johnson City and the Tri-Cities area. So this isn't everyone in Tennessee, obviously. But Science Hill, of course, having the top, not the top rusher, but the top tackler, Baylor Necessary. He has 64 tackles, and like Murray loves Dobbins Bennett there. Drew Armstaber has 60 tackles. Science Hill just has a great defense, great offense, and I just don't think Mo East is going to be able to handle it. A good game this week, Tennessee High versus Crockett. Tennessee High not having a lot of wins, but still being a good football team in Crockett. I feel like, Murray, would this be their statement win to prove to you?
No, I don't think Tennessee High. I don't even see them beating Tennessee High. If they did beat Tennessee High, that's great. But like you said, Tennessee High's not doing it. It's a rebuild year for them.
Yeah,
that's not a crazy win to me. No, but I don't even see them beating them in the first place. To be honest.
Carson, do you got anything to say about David Crockett to Tennessee High?
I think both schools kind of been like a rebuild, or just if you're Crockett.
I feel like Crockett was not expecting this to be this good this year.
Yeah,
and are winning some good games, and Tennessee High just having a rough year with a rough conference.
Yeah, I think you look at, we mentioned David Crockett earlier, trying to look for that kind of like
statement win. Do you think this is their statement win?
I don't think this can be really a statement win, but I think they can gain a lot of momentum if they can win 2 in a row. With a win against Tennessee High, which is seen as a rebuilding year for them. But any win's like always good for the program. And, just wherever they need to get hot, and it's, all.
Yeah, Jamie, do you got anything to say about David Crockett, Tennessee High?
I'll take Crockett to win. I don't think it was like y'all said a statement win, but I think that, like Carson said, I think it'll definitely give him momentum going into next week.
Tennessee High does have a top 5 rusher at 3, Trent Dowell, 560 yards, just right behind Carson Quillen of Greenville, a great running back, everybody knows. And Juan Magia, of course, leading that, 846 yards. He's just in his own category whenever it comes to running backs. Also, Davy Crockett, Lamarcus Dunn, like I said, 313 yards. He's top 5 in receiving. So it's just going to be interesting to see these two teams play and the outcome of this game to see if Crockett, is a statement wins by like 30, 40, and really shows that they're the real deal this year. A conference game we could talk about, Elizabeth and Northview. I have Elizabethan winning this game by a large margin, like 20, 30 points. Elizabethan looking very good, especially against a good Dobbins-Bennett team. And Northview playing with Unicoi, but I feel like that should show you how this game should go. If they was playing with Unicoi and lost to Unicoi, I believe that shows you, Murray, I believe you'd agree that Elizabethan should win this game by 20, 30 points.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Carson, do you believe the same thing? Elizabethan by 20, 30 points.
Yeah, I just don't see any composition that Northview's going to bring, even though they're at home against E-Town. I think Elizabethan gets an easy win here.
Talking about no competition and kind of feel bad. Granger versus Greenville. Granger lost to Elizabethan by, I believe, 40, and Greenville is on a hot streak. Carson Quillen, I mean, he had what felt like 1,000,000 yards last week against Sullivan East. I mean, he had 27 yards per carry, 7 carries, and 180 yards. That is crazy. I mean, Greenville just scored 73 points on Sullivan East. Given Sullivan East in a rebuild year, just 73 points is just something you don't come by a lot. And Greenville seems to do that a lot against some teams. I mean, Carson Quillen just unstoppable. I don't see Granger having an answer for him. I expect a 50-40 point. Another game, an O's got to go game, a Yaneka versus Hancock. Matthew Murray, what is your prediction for this game?
I would before I talk about this game, I also want to build on the last game, Greenville versus Granger. I would like to say, and this builds off, Carson's upset of the week, believing that Dobbins Bennett is going to lose this week or Science Hill is like believing Granger's going to beat Greenville. I want to say that there's no chance that either there's no chance that Science Hill even loses, like Carson says.
In my opinion, Yaneka and Hancock, I think Yaneka will win this game. It's kind of hard to tell. We ain't got to play Yaneka. We played them the 25th instead of North Green. So we'll see then, but I just believe that Yaneka will win this game. I believe they're a little bit better of a football team. Carson, what do you got to say?
Wouldn't really expect much from both teams here, but I think
I'm kind of expecting a high scoring game, kind of just because just two defenses that kind of young and having a rough time.
Well, with Hancock, they struggled to move the ball offensively, so I think I could see this either being unique or just come out and destroying them just to get momentum going for them because, them being winless and Hancock also being winless.
Yeah, 1-0's got to go, so we'll see what happens. A conference game for our conference, Hampton, West Green. I believe Hampton's playing this game because it's at West Green, and I think I'll have Hampton coming out on top in a close game, like 21-18 against West Green. Carson, I believe you'd agree the same.
Yeah, Hampton.
Maybe even a statement, like a bigger win, because, I mean, their community got flooded by Hurricane Helene. Something to bring the community together, a big win.
Yeah, they've been.
Even before the
hurricane, you would, it seemed almost rough for Hampton. They seemed, pretty.
I believe winless.
A winless year ahead, yeah. But starting out on 4, it's tough. I mean,
and then beating Hancock and then playing us. I mean, that beating Hancock after us, and then the flood coming through, the hurricane coming through. Really rough time for Hampton right now. A very good game this week, I believe. Westridge, Jefferson County. Jamie, what do you got to say about Jefferson County, Westridge? I know we don't know a lot about Jefferson County, but
like you said, I have no idea about Westridge or Jefferson County. I know little about Westridge, about their quarterback, and he's doing really good. So I'm just gonna have to trust my gut and go with Westridge.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna go with Westridge this game. I think it'll be a very close game. Could go either way. Jefferson with that game. I believe it's the end of this episode of Beyond the Stand.